Okay, welcome everyone. Lovely to see everyone this afternoon. We have our wonderful guest, Luba German, who's going to be talking with us. As you know, I'm Joanne Levy. I am president of the Sephardi Synagogue, and it is a pleasure and an honour to welcome our guests and to have all of you here today. So with this talk, because Luba is going to be talking about her wanderings and she's going to be going to different countries. If you have a question, just pop your hand up and ask the question there and then. We're not going to do questions at the end. We're going to do questions as she goes along, because what might happen is that you have a question and it's relevant to what we're talking about. So feel free, Luba's fine. We'll just do the introduction. So let me just zoom in on you, please, Luba, and if you'd like to take it away.
Good afternoon, everybody. This is actually a travel log of my own personal journey.
We only see her face.
Traveling. Fortunately, I'm a travel
We
agent.
only see her eyes.
A lot of traveling, and I've visited a lot of countries and places of Sephardi origin. Particularly interesting to me because I am Sephardi origin myself. It's not an actual history, it's a travel log. We'll start with Morocco and Spain. I've been to Spain, to Madrid, Alicante, Benidorm, Valencia, Malaga, and Catalan, right through the southern part of Spain. And
Luba, do you mind just sort of sitting up a little bit more in your seat, please, so we can see you?
now,
Thank you.
This is actually a photograph of an apartment building, but the synagogue is underneath. This is taken in Benidorm. So the synagogue is still underneath here.
Do you mean like it's in the basement?
When they're talking about the Marranos and the Conversos and how they hid the fact that they were Jewish.
So, sorry, Luba, can I just ask, are you saying that the synagogue is in the basement?
The synagogue is in the basement.
Right.
They built the apartment building on the top. And this is what happened right through Spain in the different Jewish areas. Now, I don't have any photographs of Italy, but Italy is not actually Sephard. The Italian Jews were taken by the Romans from Jerusalem when they conquered the temple, and it's a very, very old community. A lot of our albums have been put away. Very briefly, in Britain, the Jews were expelled by Edward I in 1200. They were allowed to return when Oliver Cromwell came into power. They were expelled for 350 years. We then had, we had different, right through the centuries, we've had different genocides to do with the Jews. In Germany, there was a great war in 1630 that lasted 30 years. The Jews again were confined. This was the first time actually that they were confined to ghettos. They had to wear either a Star of David or some sort of marking. They were only allowed out of the ghettos at certain times of the day. Normally the ghettos were on an island. So the Jews came from the island to the mainland, and then they had to go back to the ghettos. In Yugoslavia, again, you had a very large Sephardi community, particularly in Serbia. Well, Yugoslavia now has been divided into 4 countries. So you've got Serbia, Croatia, Montenegro. But in Novi Sad in Serbia, you had a very large Jewish community. Unfortunately, it was destroyed during the Holocaust in the Second World War. Most of the Jews perished. In Albania, you had the same thing happen. I'm sure that you've all heard of Charles Aznavour. His family were very active. They saved a lot of Jewish people during the Second World War. Now, in Bulgaria, when we talk about Bulgaria, we actually have to talk about 3 areas. Bulgaria itself, then we had Macedonia, and part of Yugoslavia, part of Serbia. Unfortunately, during the Second World War, all the Jews of Macedonia perished. Don't have any left. The Bulgarian king saved his own people in Bulgaria. If you were Jewish and you were in the army, you went into the army, but he did not give his Jews up to the Nazis.
Sorry, Luba, can I ask, do we know why he didn't give up his Jews to the Nazis? Was there any reason?
The Bulgarians were not at all anti-Semitic in ways that they were in the rest of Europe. He didn't have anything to give the Nazis. Like in Romania, the Nazis wanted Romania because of Ploiești. There was a lot of oil in Ploiești and they wanted Romania. So they took Romania, but there was really nothing that, the only thing that the Bulgarian king allowed was for the trains to go through Bulgaria. Now, again, our photos are put away, but in Bulgaria, you have a magnificent synagogue. It seats about 3,000 people with all the artifacts in it. It's absolutely magnificent in Sofia. Also in Plovdiv. When you go up to Plovdiv, there is an old synagogue. It's over 500 years old. We were fortunate enough to see it. It still has a yeshiva. So it's very, very beautiful. Romania, well, Charles is Romanian, and some of you heard his testimony last week. My mother was also Romanian from Bessarabia, from southern Romania. Only the 3 children survived the war. The rest of my mother's family perished, as you heard Charlie's story. Now, in Macedonia, there is going to be on the 17th of December on Facebook today, there was an announcement that on the 17th of December, there is going to be a program about the Jewish community of Macedonia. Now,
Sorry, Luba, who's running that event about the Macedonian Jews? If anyone's interested in it.
I didn't see it. Charles, did you actually? He didn't notice. It was actually on Facebook today.
Okay, well, maybe if you get a chance to share the link with me privately and I can share it out in case anyone else is interested.
While we're talking about that, Joanne, I have received a letter from the ambassador, the Greek ambassador of America and the Greek ambassador of Israel, inviting the Jewish community, the Greek community of Melbourne, to join. They're having a worldwide Zoom on the 19th of December. I will send you a copy of that letter so that you can actually advertise it for people to join.
Yes, thank you. That'd be excellent. Thank you.
Vivian isn't here yet, but can you see? I think this could be a bit dark. This is actually the main Sephardi synagogue in Greece, in Athens.
Is the synagogue still there?
Yes, oh yes, very active.
And who's looking after the synagogue?
There is a Sephardi community in Greece.
Okay.
This is actually...
Can you pop it up higher? We can't see it. No, up in the middle of the screen.
Move it over.
Yep,
Which
up,
way?
up. Just a little bit more up, please. Yep.
Up.
And over. Yeah, that's it.
This is actually inside the museum in Greece. You have they have a lot of artifacts in the museum, and I'm actually wearing, I don't know whether you can see this, I have to stand up. I'm actually wearing a piece of jewelry that I bought in the museum.
Very nice.
The little heart, it's got Shade written on it, and one of my beauty company is called Shade. This is on a personal note.
We need to see it a bit higher, please, Luba.
Yeah, that way.
Lovely. Bit more up. Yep. Yep.
That way.
Bit more up. Yep. Keep going up. Up. Yep.
Well, actually, that is an inscription. When we were taken from Lublin to Oberschlesien when I was born, we were taken by the Brecha on Greek papers by the joint. And when I was at the museum, I turned around and this inscription was there. It reads, American Joint Distribution Committee. Now, they were very helpful in getting us out of Eastern Europe into DP camps so that we could leave Europe.
Actually, if you don't mind me asking, because Charlie mentioned about the Brecha, I actually have to be honest, I hadn't heard of them before. So these are English army, is that right? Armies from the UK?
The Brecha was a group formed by Palestinians. The British did not want to train any Palestinians, Jews, because they knew that they were basically training the Israeli army.
Yeah.
So the Brecha was a group of Palestinian Jews that were part of the British army during the war.
Yes.
After the war, they called themselves the Brecha. Now, they were the first to go into the DP camps. In the beginning, all the Jews were mixed up with everybody else in the DP camps. The Brecha, or the Palestinian Brigade, they had Magen Davids on their armbands. So, of course, when they came into the camps, straight away they asked, Ivray, are you Jewish? They said yes. And they realized that they needed to get all the Jews together. It's a long story, Joanne.
I know, but it was just really interesting when Charlie mentioned about...
Well, there was one particular English major who was very helpful. They were very resourceful. He actually signed a document where they were allowed to have trucks and blankets. They started collecting the Jews and putting them separately. And this is when the shlichim came in to the DP camps to work with the children, as Charlie explained, and started to move the people initially, first of all, illegally, of course, out of Europe, trying to get them into Palestine. Then you get the story of the Exodus, which was one of the first ships that ended up in Cyprus. And with Charlie's family, he had one aunt and uncle that the Brecha needed in Israel. His my mother-in-law's younger sister, Clara, and her husband, but his grandmother and his aunt, Lily, and her husband, they went to Cyprus. They were caught by the British and they ended up in Cyprus, of course, until the state was formed. And of course, the Brecha did all sorts of things. They went after the Germans because they knew that the Allies wouldn't do it. I can't say a lot more publicly on television.
No, that's fine. That's fine. That was just, it was just very interesting, just because Charlie had mentioned it in his talk and I hadn't heard of them. So that's excellent. Thank you. Sorry to interrupt you. Please.
There is a book available. I will get the name of it. That it's not a long book that actually gives you the history of the Bricha.
Lovely. Thank you. So just going back to Greece, did you get a chance, like you mentioned, you went to the synagogue, did you get a chance to meet the community? Like, is it a large community? Because a lot of it was decimated in the Second World War. Did you get a chance to see the community at all, Luba, while you were there?
Athens. This is why Vivi is not here yet.
No, that's okay, but that's okay. Just, did you get it? So just let me know, like, did you get a chance to see the community and see what it's like? Is it starting to thrive after it was
We didn't meet the community, but on one of our first trips in 1977, we were in Corfu. Now, the Levy family is originally from, well, Vivian's family is originally from Corfu. Now, this is the synagogue doors in Corfu. We actually walked the streets until we found the shul.
Yes.
And that's the actual doors to the synagogue in Corfu. Not a very large synagogue, but it's very, very beautiful. We were actually standing outside and a man saw me with a camera and he asked Charles in Italian, "Are you Ivray?" And he said yes. He said originally there was about 3,000 Jews living in Corfu. 75 people came back from Auschwitz. That's it.
Are they still there, Luba? Like, did they stay or did they go to Israel, or what happened to those 75?
So those 75 remained.
Okay, and has it like started to grow?
You've got a very young Charlie.
Put it up. Oh yeah.
That's a very young Charlie outside the synagogue.
Yep, lovely.
That's the synagogue again, the doors. Now,
just hold it up a bit higher. That's it. Lovely. Thank you.
We had a wonderful experience in Corfu. The gentleman that saw us taking the photos asked us to wait. He called the gabbai and they opened the shul. And they were conversing in Italian. They asked Charlie what happened to his parents during the war. He said he survived with his mother, but his father had since died. And they lit an oil burner and they said Kaddish together. It was very, very moving. Okay, we've been to Greece. We've got, well, from Greece we had the family Levy. Danny Yaffe also lived, well, a lot of the Jews from Greece went to live in Egypt and mainly in Alexandria. And Vivian and her husband, they were originally Jews from Greece. Danny Yaffe was originally from Greece. I don't know about Flossie. Flossie, I know she lived in Singapore, but I don't know whether she was from Greece. Now, before we move across to Asia, that's my family history that I did with my cousin that takes my family all the way back to the Spanish Inquisition on my paternal grandmother's side. I am Sephardi. I'm actually a Sephardi princess.
How long did it take you to do all of that work, Luba? That looks massive.
It doesn't take long now with the computer, Joanne. It's very, very good. just want to show you, my cousin's mother is buried in Bokhara.
Probably,
That is
yeah,
the
that's
entrance to the Jewish cemetery in Bokhara.
beautiful.
Unfortunately, it has been completely grounded. All the graves, everything is gone.
What, you mean that they've just cleared out the land?
They've cleared out the land, yes.
And where did the graves go?
The graves are gone,
Oh my God,
unfortunately.
that's terrible.
All righty. Well, let's move across to Asia. We'll first of all go to Indonesia. I've done a lot of traveling through Indonesia, Sumatra, Java, and Sulawesi. Vicky Kupfer was a member of our shul when we had the shul in Darling Road. She has passed away. Vicky was born in Java. Now, there was a large Jewish presence in Indonesia. They were plantation owners. Also, they owned spice plantations, as well as being
Can I ask, Luba, where did these Jews predominantly come from?
Iraq and Iran.
Right. And when are we talking about them coming? Like in the early 1900s, or when did they?
No. Several hundred years prior to that.
Oh, okay.
They started to immigrate.
Right.
So Malaysia, I've been to Malaysia. Ron Raab's family is from Malaysia.
Mm-hmm.
There's not a lot to see in Malaysia. In Indonesia, there were initially some synagogues still there, but in recent years, they've come down because, of course, there's been a lot of rebuilding. And they were in areas where they built a new hospital in Bali, in Sumatra and Java and Sulawesi. Again, everything has been rebuilt. So unfortunately, there's not a lot left in regards to buildings.
So all the buildings are gone. Everything that was in the building, it's just all disappeared. Is that what you're saying?
Generally speaking, yes.
What a shame.
Which is a shame.
It's terrible.
India, well,
Mm-hmm.
I was from India. I haven't visited India, but we've got Benny and Rowena and Saul and Hazel. We have several other.
We actually have a very large Indian community within our synagogue, which is lovely.
We also had a community from B'nai Israel at
That's
one point
right.
as part of the synagogue.
That's right.
They haven't come over the last few years.
No, we have some. We have some. They've come
We still
over.
have some?
Yep.
That's good.
Yeah, it's very good. And we also had Rowena, as everyone knows, a few weeks ago, talking about her life growing up as Jewish in India. So, Luba, I just need to let you know we're going to be wrapping it up. So if you just want to give us one more country, please.
Turkey.
Yes, lovely, Turkey.
Last one.
We've got Marcel's best friend, Australia.
This synagogue is about 500 years old. This is the Bima.
Wow.
This was the first synagogue built in Istanbul.
And is it still there?
In fact, you've got lots of different photos from the synagogue. Now, this is the modern synagogue. Now, I don't know whether people remember, but unfortunately, the Palestinians got in and they killed 23 people in this shul. They were shot. And we don't have time for me to read it, so I won't read it. I do very quickly want to show you. This is for the synagogue. I will present it to Joanne. These are the costumes of Sephardi and Romanite Jewish costumes in Greece and Turkey.
Lovely, thank you.
This will be donated to the shul. Do we have time to read a little bit in English or no time at all?
No, unfortunately not. Just going back to the synagogue in Turkey, which was very impressive. Is the synagogue still there?
Yes, yes.
Okay.
I visited it, and you can still go and visit it.
Okay. Is there a
very quickly?
Yeah.
Uh,
No, move it up. Yep. And towards your face. Move it back. Oh, that's beautiful. Lovely.
That's just one.
Mm-hmm.
That's another one. There's a whole series. There's about 15 of them.
Beautiful.
And that will be coming to the shul. I think that's where it belongs.
Excellent. Lovely.
If anybody's got any questions?
If you have a question, just put your hand up. Anyone have any questions? No? Okay, excellent. Thank you, Luba. That was very interesting and very insightful. I think people forget about the Jewish communities in some of the other countries. Everyone's so used to having Jewish communities in Europe, and they forget about the Balkan states and obviously in the Middle East, and as you said, in Asia. And it's a shame to hear about so many synagogues and cemeteries being wiped out and destroyed. It's just horrific to hear that.
Doing a little bit of research for this program, I found it quite devastating. Really, people talk about the Holocaust. And when I was reading about Britain and the expulsion, the Jews have had problems since the 11th century and the 10th century.
Yeah, it's terrible. It really is terrible.
It really goes back a long, long time.
And we're very blessed to be living here in Australia, that we can do this, that we can go to synagogue, we can celebrate being Jews without form of persecution. We are very, very blessed.
We're very fortunate. There was an article again on Facebook by a young woman who started tracing her family back as an adult. She traced her mother's family back to the 1200s and her father's family back to the 1100s. She was brought up as a Catholic, and she decided to convert to Judaism.
Right. That's also very interesting. So if you get a chance, give that to me and I'll share that. So we're going to be wrapping it up now. So I just want to thank everyone for joining us. It's always a pleasure to see everyone. I do want to let everyone know that we're just having a little break with our afternoon chats, and that we'll be restarting them in early February. So we're just taking a little break just for a few weeks, and then we'll catch up after. So Luba, I just want to thank you very much for joining us, for being our guest today, sharing your insights about your travels in the Sephardi world overseas. And I want to thank everyone for joining us today. So I hope everyone has a lovely afternoon and look forward to catching up with you all soon.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Be well, everyone.
Thank you. Bye.